What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another video. Now, in today's video, I wanted to talk about why you shouldn't buy a house, why you shouldn't buy a piece of land, and why you shouldn't even rent, okay, in an apartment or wherever you are. All right, and the real reason why you shouldn't buy a house, a piece of land, okay, is because when you actually buy a house or a piece of land, even though you put all your hard-earned cash into that land or house, it's not really actually your house or piece of land at the end of the day. Even if you pay off your mortgage, which, oftentimes takes people like all of their lives to do, they're a debt slave their whole life. But even if you finally pay your mortgage off, you're still paying property tax every year, okay, for your land or for your house. You're paying property tax every year, and if you don't pay it, the government can come and seize your house. So it's really the government's house, not your house. It's really the government's piece of land, okay, that they're claiming ownership of. It's not really your piece of land. Because if even especially in California, if you buy a piece of land in certain areas, you have to do certain things with that land. By law, you have to have, a septic system going on of a certain type. You have to have the cabin built within certain dimensions. It has to be a certain structure. So there's all these dumb rules and regulations that you have to follow when buying a piece of land. And when you're paying property tax every year, okay, where are those tax dollars going? They're ultimately going toward bad places, evil things. Okay, big pharma, Planned Parenthood, okay, animal agriculture, especially with certain taxes. Okay, it's less with state tax. Not as much of it goes toward stuff like that. But if you're paying federal income tax, okay, you're definitely putting your money toward that garbage. And federal income tax is completely unconstitutional. It's completely illegal. Okay, the IRS is completely illegal. Okay, this is why I don't pay federal income tax anymore, and you shouldn't either. I don't care if it's so-called risky to do, whatever. Okay, sometimes life is worth the risk if you're being forced to put your money toward things that you truly don't want to put your money toward because they're immoral, such as Planned Parenthood, for all the Christians out there who are claiming to, hate Planned Parenthood and who are claiming to be anti-abortion, well, if you're living in a house or if you own a piece of land and you're paying federal income or you're paying property tax, and if you're paying federal income tax every year, well, guess what? It makes you a hypocrite because you're putting money toward that and you're keeping it going, while at the same time claiming that it's immoral and that these institutions shouldn't exist. All right? So, no matter what you have, the government always claims it, okay? The government will always tax you, will always find a way to tax you, which is why you want to try to not pay taxes wherever you can, whenever you can, as much as practically possible. Which is why I say ultimately you shouldn't own a house or a piece of land. Okay, you should either live in like a big van or an RV. All right, with a nice interior, making it look like a home on the inside. Okay, if that's not good enough for you, okay, if you're still not satisfied with a nice RV, where you can just drive and go and camp around and you have your nice luxury in the RV, if that's not good enough for you and you need some big house or some big mansion, there's something wrong with you. Okay, there's something broken inside of you. All right, you shouldn't care so much about material things and about houses and stuff like that. All right, you should, and the rent and the mortgages should get to you. You should not like paying that, which is why, you should just live in an RV or a van. In other words, yeah, you should be homeless, but it's ultimately the more moral thing to do. Because if you own a home, okay, and if, like I said, you own a piece of land, you're putting property tax dollars toward evil things. All right? And we also want to be careful of the kinds of jobs that we have, because most jobs out there, every paycheck that you get, they take a certain percentage out of your paycheck for taxes. So you're being taxed even though you don't want to be. All right, but this is how it is with most jobs. And most jobs out there, anyways, are contributing to things that are completely immoral. Okay, that's a whole nother subject to go into, but this is why you also shouldn't be working these 9-to-5 slave jobs. Okay, really, it's because you're being taxed, and part of your paycheck is going toward things that you don't want it to go toward. Okay, and most of these jobs are immoral, and you shouldn't want to live like that anyways, where you only, where you have 5 days of work and only get 2 days off, and you do this for most of your life. Okay, it's completely insane. You should start your own business. Like I've said in a previous video, grow stuff and sell it is the easiest thing to do. Growing microgreens particularly and selling them. I mean, certain things like radishes, broccoli can, they only take 6 to 10 days to grow. So if you had about 15 or 20 trays worth of microgreens that you were growing, you would probably be able to, produce about 100 containers worth, plastic containers worth of microgreens. And you could sell, these plastic containers for $5 each. All right. And if you had 100 of them, and then if you had about 100 customers that were willing to buy from you weekly, and you were delivering them every 6 to 10 days when they grew, you could make 500 a week easily, or more if you find restaurants or college campuses that want microgreens for experiments and stuff like that, and for science classes. Yeah, so this is the easiest way to make money instead of 9-to-5 jobs, and paying taxes and doing all this. So this is ultimately why you want to get away from the system as much as possible. And instead of buying a piece of land, in my opinion, you should just go out there somewhere and find a piece of land that you can be on discreetly, where no one's going to find you or see you, and start growing fruit trees on it. Okay, start growing fruit trees. This is probably the smartest thing anybody can be doing right now. Okay, and the way I see it, it's like it's the most ridiculous thing anyways that we're having to pay money to own land. Okay, all that you have to do is look down in an airplane and see the vast amounts of land that are just completely not used. Okay? And when you understand these things, you understand that it's just the dumbest thing in the world that we're paying money for land, even though we have all this extra land out there. Okay, and if we were back in the Wild West, 1800s, we would have been able to claim land that we wanted. Okay, just, claim whatever land you want. And the fact that it's not like that anymore really says something about our society. And, the way I see it, yeah, sure, it's a little risky going and trying to hide out on a piece of land and growing fruit trees, but, you should have the right, okay, as an individual with free will, you should have the right to own a piece of land and grow some fruit trees on it, and try it and see if you can get away with it. And if you get caught, I mean, you might get in trouble, but you never know. Some people might actually think it's okay. Some people, some authorities might actually like the fact that you're growing fruit trees on the land, and they might actually think that it gives value to the land, so they might not get you in trouble. You never know. But regardless, I think it's worth the risk, okay? Especially with Agenda 21, which is said to come in 2030. If we go into a complete police state, and if you have an address, if they know exactly where you live, you have a piece of land that they know where you live, then they'll come and get you like it's nothing. And this is also another reason why you shouldn't own a house. It's because you'll have an address, and you'll be telling the government, the authorities, where you live, so they'll know exactly where you are. Whereas if you have a hiding spot and a piece of land that you can discreetly go to and grow fruit trees, maybe near a river or a lake or near the ocean, wherever it is, where you can get water, filter it, and water your plants, or just river water or lake water, then this is a much better thing. And then you'll actually have a chance of, avoiding the police state if you can hide out. And I think it's the smarter thing to do based on our crazy government, based on everything that they're doing, everything that they've done. So, ultimately, this is why I think, yeah, this is a better option than renting, than buying a piece of land, than, going from the system. And, even if, like, for instance, even if you couldn't find a piece of land, like, just to get something started, you could always find a camping spot out there somewhere, and you could set down some trays and grow some peppers or some microgreens or whatever it is. So you can get something going. Okay, but there is a piece of land out there, okay, that you can find if you look hard enough. Okay, and this is more worth it than paying taxes, having immoral jobs, putting your money toward immoral things. All right, so yeah, whenever, like I said, if you can avoid paying taxes, you should do it, okay, whenever possible. All right, whenever possible. And yes, that means that you will have to make these sacrifices, okay, true sacrifices. Okay, that's what freedom is really about, making true sacrifices for the greater good. All right. And this is why currently right now, yeah, I'm homeless. I don't really care though. I don't own a house, haven't owned a house. I haven't rented in years. I've been homeless mostly for the last several years. I've been living with certain people and family at times, but yeah, it's been a consistent thing, and I actually like it. I enjoy it. I find that I get much better sleep when I'm sleeping in a tent rather than sleeping in a house. And so I would actually prefer to sleep in a tent because of the better air and everything else. I just get a better night's sleep. And I'm in nature more. I'm outside more. And this is one of the traps that society kind of puts people in. They want people to be addicted to the indoors. They want people to be all about the inside, being inside, all the interior materialism decorations in houses, all the the nice carpet, the nice tile, the nice walls, everything, right? They want you to be addicted to indoors instead of outdoors, where you should be, out in nature, okay, where the real beauty is, okay? The real nirvana is in nature. So, just keep this in mind. And unfortunately, a lot of people are very, very attached to houses. They're very, very attached to, their jobs and their lifestyles. They want to fit in with society. They want to have a lot of friends and stuff like that. But, this is what, like I said, this is why you have to sacrifice for the greater good. And this is why you have to make sacrifices, so that things can be better in this world. Because these houses, in my opinion, there's way too many of them. They're all over the place, all over this world. A lot of them look like hell. They just, to me, I don't know. Houses just kind of, they're too big oftentimes. I say, if you, with your discrete piece of land that you find, if you think that you can get away with building like a small little cabin or something, maybe like out of a Home Depot shed, or just like, a 14-foot by 14-foot cabin or something small. If you think you can get away with it, then go ahead and try it. But that would be the only time that I would say you should get a house or get a home, right? A cabin or a small little home that you can build on your discrete piece of land. But otherwise, I would just say live in your truck, your RV, your big van, whatever. So, and also keep in mind, we used to jump in the rivers. We used to jump in the oceans all the time, the lakes, when we were young as kids. We should be doing it more, and that's, if you're wanting to take a bath, that's the real way to do it. Instead of taking a shower in fluoridated tap water full of other chemicals causing major health problems, just take a bath in the river, okay? you can still live a normal life. You can still be clean. You'll have a lot more money freed up because you won't be paying rent. You won't be paying mortgages or anything like that. So really free up your life, if you can. Now, I know some people, they're stuck in their situation. They have a house, they have kids, they're stuck in their job. I would say if you can, try to sell your house, try to, live a different lifestyle, quit your job. Hopefully you can. I know that it can be hard for some people, but I would just encourage you to try to get out of that kind of a situation. Try to be more off the grid if you can. So, anyways, I think that's about all I wanted to talk about for this video. Let me think if there's anything else. I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, I know this is a little bit different, than your average video, but yeah, you got to be different than most people in society, in order to do the right thing. It is what it is. You can still live a great life. You can live an even better life because you won't be attached to all of this materialism and houses and, all these problems that go wrong with your houses. So then you have like a million things to take care of. I don't think it's worth it. I would much rather just have a little mini RV, that I drive around in and sleep wherever I want, camp out wherever I want, not have to worry about anything. I'm not contributing to any kind of suffering with my tax dollars or anything like that. So keep these things in mind. Consider going off the grid. Find a discrete piece of land if you can. I would say, also another thing I forgot to mention, I said you shouldn't be putting money, toward taxes or toward the system as much as you can. And this is why, if you can help it, I would say try to drive without a license. Okay, because a license, having a license for anything and having to pay for a license, you're giving your money to the government, the DMV. Okay, so you're ultimately not really contributing to something good. But I would say if you can get away with it, try to drive without a license. That way you're not putting your money toward that. However, if you get pulled over and you get ticketed, then you might have to, like what's happened with me. But I would say, if you can get away with it, try to drive without a license. Try to just go off the grid as much as possible, as much as practically possible. If you have a house, you can't seem to sell it or whatever, you're in kind of a tight situation, still try to find a discrete piece of land where you can go to hide and escape to if shit hits the fan with Agenda 21. And make sure you have a gun, of course. Make sure that you're ready. So, yeah, this is all the advice that I can give for people, especially people coming out of college, wanting to chase careers, wanting to chase that big dream home or mansion. Okay, it's all that stuff in the end is basically, it's just meaningless, just junk houses and, money. It's all man-made crap. What you need is nature. What you need is health. And you need a better diet. So anyways, that's about all I wanted to say for this video. And yeah, have a good day and take it easy.